I'm Amy Jo Martin. Welcome to the Why Not Now show. You know that thing you've been thinking about doing? Yeah, that one. Why not now? Have you ever actually taken the time to ask yourself, what's stopping me? Let's talk it through. This is your chance to give that idea the attention it deserves and take action. Each episode, I have a chat with a fascinating person, from entrepreneurs to athletes, celebrities, my parents, rocket scientists, and all walks of life. We talk through a critical time when they've asked themselves, why not now? We dissect that day or even that moment, step by step. We have the original girl boss on the show today, Sophia Amoruso, founder of Nasty Gal. Sophia started her company as the CEO of her bedroom and has why-notted her way to building a $100 million company. You may have recently seen her on the cover of Forbes, no big deal, or have heard about her books Nasty Galaxy, which is brand new, and Girl Boss, which has become a movement on its own. Take a look at the hashtag #GirlBoss and you'll see what I mean. Sophia tells her unique story of how she got started and talks about navigating through the world of venture capital as a female founder. We discuss social media and being real versus sharing your highlight reel. Sophia is working on another big endeavor, and that's the Girl Boss TV show, which will soon be available on Netflix. This woman is a badass. I hope you enjoy our chat. Before we get started, I want to fill you in on something that's made a big difference in my life, and that's Headspace. I'm grateful to have them as a sponsor of this episode. Headspace is a guided meditation app that I've been using for the past couple of months, and it's the first time I've ever been able to meditate consistently. I've tried to adopt various forms of mindfulness off and on for the past 10 plus years, and this is the first time something has actually stuck. And call it what you want, meditation, mindfulness. Sometimes I just call it my ready, set, pause or adult timeout. It takes 10 minutes each day, and it's helped me quiet my mind. My aunt used to say, don't let anything rent space in your head for free. That's valuable real estate. Well, Headspace allows me to become a much better landlord of my thoughts and self-talk, which is a big one for me. You can go to headspace.com/whynotnow for a free 10-day trial. And if you stick around to the end of the show, I'll tell you how you can get a month for free. Here's Sophia Amoruso. Sophia, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
Oh, you have no idea. This is my girl boss moment, literally.
Yes.
So
yes. Cool.
So I feel like I'm the lucky one here. You've definitely inspired myself as well as many people with your journey and your career. And absolutely, you're what I definitely refer to as a professional why-notter. And meaning that you have done so many different things where there must have been moments that you just had a decision to make. And for one reason or another, you decided to ask yourself, why not now? And you did him. Can you think of a time when you specifically were in that moment and kind of dissect it?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the biggest why not now moment in my life was, sitting in the lobby of an art school in downtown San Francisco when I was 22 years old, and it was my job to check student IDs. I was a cheaper version of a security guard, so my title was campus safety host.
Nice.
And I know, and I was on MySpace. This was before Facebook had really taken off. I was on MySpace and was getting friend requests from eBay sellers who were selling vintage clothing and promoting their businesses on MySpace. And so I clicked through to see what it was that they were up to and what they were selling, and was like, wow, this stuff is so expensive and people are bidding on it. So that means that people are willing to pay that. That's what they think this is worth. And, I only wore vintage clothing at the time. I knew where to find it. I knew where to find it way cheaper than what they were selling it for on eBay. I had a computer and a digital camera, and I thought, what, why not now? Why not, start my own eBay store? And, that was almost 10 years ago now. And, Nasty Gal's a pretty large business, and I've written a book about it. And, but I think the ultimate kind of why not now moment was, if someone else can do this, why shouldn't I?
Well, that's what's so interesting is that some people wouldn't have probably asked themselves that.
You're right. And yeah, I think it was, when you're 22 and don't have a lot to lose, it's a lot easier to ask yourself, why not now? I think the more responsibilities you have, it becomes harder to say, why not now? But, when you're onto something, it's always worth exploring. But how you do that safely, I think, depends on how much you have to lose.
Sure. That it makes a lot of sense. It was a why not now moment that while I was listening to Girl Boss Radio that really pushed me to start this podcast. And I didn't know what I wanted to start a podcast on, but I was listening to you and Daily. I think I was listening to from the beginning, your very first episode, and got to see the dynamic between you and Liz and really kind of understand you're just having this conversation. And I'm going through a bit of a transition myself, and I just thought, well, why don't I just do this now? Okay, I'm going to do it. Now I need a topic. And that's kind of how this all started. But thank you for the inspiration to get started. And
of course, that's so cool. I had no idea. It's a brave new world with podcasts. It's a total Wild West.
It is. And there really are no rules. So it's kind of fun to create our own. So I want to up my game, so I'm taking dips for sure. And so the why not now kind of philosophy in watching you start with one jump, and then there was another, and then you're building Nasty Gal, and you went until 2012 before you even went out and raised any money, right?
Yeah, I mean, I really cobbled it together from day one, the way a lot of small business owners do, and I didn't realize I was starting an internet company or was a founder or, would ultimately be considered a CEO. I was just the CEO of my bedroom for a long time.
Did you find yourself graduating a bit when it came to the jumps in asking yourself why not now or taking risks? So did you start to kind of build that muscle in a way and practice and get bigger and bigger in terms of what you would risk or what you would do?
I think so, but I think, at a certain point, once you kind of open up the why not now, opportunistic, looking for opportunities, mindset, it's easy to find things everywhere. And the challenge is in choosing what not to do now, I guess, because, in the beginning, doing everything now is totally possible. And then, once you have something that you're really invested in, you have to make more choices and you have to focus. And there's one thing I've learned in, 10 years, it's focus. But yeah, I would say it gets easier, but then it gets more challenging because you've experienced what, shooting from the hip or just doing things without, really planning them, it can be amazing, but it can also be, really messy. So I think even when you do ask yourself, why not now, stopping to say, well, how and what does this look like a few years from now to make sure that what you are doing now is something that, that'll continue to make sense and not get you in over your head and you're doing with the right team is really important.
And given that you did end up going out and raising money and actually obviously Nasty Gal is doing very, very well. Aren't you at $100 million? You're a $100 million business now?
Yes.
More. That's just congratulations on the cover of Forbes. You have your Netflix show that's coming out, and A lot of the questions, and one of my number one questions that I wanted to ask you was women in confidence, funding for women entrepreneurs, the world of VCs, and kind of the skew. Obviously, not as many women are receiving funding, and those stats are all out there, and we've all heard them. What are your thoughts? It's something I've really struggled with this question because having gone through that investment process and receiving funding myself in the past, I didn't really experience a negative experience. It wasn't difficult. However, the stats are obviously showing that things aren't equal, of course, and there aren't even a lot of women VCs. So, what is your thought on kind of the process? What women can do? Are you treated any differently? That whole question.
Yeah, I haven't felt like I was treated any differently. I mean, I think the best thing we can equip ourselves with is proof of success on some level that we can speak to and, know more than the people around you. That's a really hard thing to do. And, do I know more than my venture capitalist? No. Did I buy a book called, How to Be Smarter Than Your Venture Capitalist? Yes. So, I learned about what I was talking about before I had those conversations. And I think that's really important to be a real partner at the table. In terms of women specifically, I mean, I think it's just you show up and you keep showing up and you don't ask for permission. And, that's where people, start to open doors or where you open doors for yourself. Mm-hmm. No one's going to do it for you. No one's going to do anything for you. It's really a matter of, waking up and knowing that you don't belong there and feeling like an imposter and choosing to do it anyway until you're no longer a stranger and you're, someone who's seen as a respected peer.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, and it's cool to see people just actually doing something about it too versus just talking about it. The whole girl boss movement is clearly action being taken, and
totally.
The conversation gets old and it's so fatiguing after a while that sure, it's important to discuss and have meaningful conversations, but I never really know how to answer that question when people say, well, how did you do it as a female? And I'm like, how did I do what? I've never really felt any different, yet there's clearly an imbalance. So
yeah, there's a big gap. And, I think I'm lucky and you're probably lucky not to have experienced a lot of the adversity that, women experience. It's unfair to dismiss it. It's, when that's not your experience. And, I haven't worked in a corporate environment. There's a lot of things, I have with Nasty Gal, but there's a lot of things that I haven't experienced just as a result of being a founder. Mm-hmm. And so, I think it's important to be educated on it. I really think that things change when people are inspired, and Girl Boss and I really try to stay in that space and having a conversation just about what we can do every day to make our lives better and to accomplish the things that we set out to do and to get to know ourselves better and be honest with ourselves about what we're good at and what we're not good at and celebrate our small wins. There's a whole world out there that can get into the nitty-gritty of politics and that's something that, sure, I have my own opinions about, but I really, want to stay out of dogma. It's not a comfortable place for me. And I think, just inspiring people to be their best selves is really a much more enjoyable place to be.
That's exactly why I started the show too, is to really kind of ask ourselves, why not now make the change, take the action, do whatever it is personally, professionally to more action and sometimes a little less talk is helpful, but dissecting what it takes. So changing gears here for a minute, do you meditate?
Oh, I wish. I have the Headspace app and I've been to the transcendental meditation place in Los Angeles and almost went for it. It's the one piece of advice that I've gotten more than any other, that I've ignored more than any other, which I'm not proud of. So will I figure it out? Yes. In my own time, as we all do, we stop biting our nails when we're ready to stop biting our nails. It's just, we can only force ourselves so much to do things, but it's something that I really admire and want to do, and I'm going to figure it out. I'm gonna, but
So I just started 25 days ago, and I actually use the Headspace app too.
Oh, cool.
It's been something, for the last probably 10 years, I've tried off and on, and it just didn't click. And the benefit, I'm sure, is great, but I just wasn't able to make it stick. And then this has really worked for me, though, and it's actually something I finally look forward to. But I'm constantly wondering if I'm doing it wrong. But one of the things that I had heard was this woman say, actually, you will have better ideas, and you will actually perform better throughout your day and be more creative if you do this, because you'll be in touch and your chakra and all that stuff. That was what it took for me to finally see the ROI. I was like, okay, all right, better ideas.
Yeah.
You got it. Sign me
You're
up.
tapping into parts of your brain that are just kind of turning into mush,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But then I kind of, when I was younger, I had to go to church, and I'd find my prayers always kind of turned into wishes instead. Like it was a genie that I was talking to. And so sometimes my mantras or my, meditation kind of turns into, I think, like these wishes, and I need to come back and zone in and realize that's not really what it's for. You can't ask for a unicorn.
The worst thing that you're doing is focusing on what you want to manifest in life. Then meditation is still probably really good for you.
Yes.
You're not stressing out about all the shit you're not doing. So that's what I would probably do.
It's true. I actually had to do that the other day in the car. It was like, I need to actually go remove myself from the situation, before I say something that I don't mean, and meditate for everyone's sake here. So it has been really cool. And with just in general, you have such a busy lifestyle. Do you have one tip for people who are juggling a ton of things in terms of trying to stay sane throughout their day?
I would say use your calendar. Your calendar is your friend. I mean, I think it gives you freedom to know what you are and aren't committed to, and, be able to glance in one place what it is that you have agreed to do. And I put so much information in my calendar. I put working out, driving to work, driving from one place to another. I use it to remind myself of things. It's just so extremely important to actually write down the things that you want to do. Otherwise, they just get lost in my brain.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And do you journal?
I do occasionally.
Okay.
I used to do it so much, and I have full journals that I'm really proud of having. But this is the time when I should really be documenting what's going on, because it's crazy. But it's also the time that I don't have time. I mean, so much of this is just about making time for the things that, nourish ourselves. And it doesn't matter who you are or how evolved you are or how much self-help, you've read or listened to on podcasts. It is hard. It's hard for everybody, even the best of us. So, I think it's just, you could put it on your calendar.
Yes. Well, and it is very true. It's a form of accountability, but also a support. It doesn't have to be evil. Kind of changing gears again to social media. So it's been obviously a huge asset in the growing of your business, and back in MySpace days when you really leveraged it and used it to your advantage, and now obviously the benefits. I've heard you and Liz talk a little bit about, kind of throw around this idea of having an Instagram account that's maybe a kind of less highlight reel, little more kind of behind the scenes. And so I'm just curious, are you going to do it? Because I think it'd be so powerful and cool.
What's it called? My Real Shit Life, or My Real Life Shit or something.
Yeah.
That's Liz's idea. It's pretty funny, because we're all on Instagram talking about, how amazing our life is. And, I'll post pictures of myself looking like things are just perfect when I'm actually just like super bummed. But I'm not going to tell everybody, because that's such a, it's a bummer. And I want to bring my very best to the table. But, it is misleading that when we look at all of each other's lives edited into these beautiful photos, that, it's easy for us to stop and look at our own lives and say, wow, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with my life? And the fact is that we all have awful days. I've had awful months. I've had awful years. So yeah, I think it would be really funny to start an Instagram account just about like, yep, this is real life. Here I am, spilled more food on myself. And, I'm the person who leaves all the crumbs around my plate when I get up from a table. That's what it is, like.
I think it'd be not only funny, obviously, I think it'd be hilarious, but also so powerful because it's, the confidence issue with women and the comparison is just, it's out of control, right? And to be a true girl boss, I imagine, you're only really competing with yourself. I've heard you say that before too. And that's when we are a better versions of ourselves. But it's difficult to do when you're constantly using Instagram as your barometer or whatever else when people are showing their highlight reel.
I agree.
Yeah. So maybe think on that one. I'll be your first to follow.
I'll tell her, you're the first person to really bring it up and say you should do that.
We need to get this shit done.
Liz is going to crack up.
Okay. Why not now, right? Okay. So thinking about that question again and why not now, you have so much going on. I can't wait for Girl Boss to come out on Netflix. And when is that, by the way?
So they're shooting now, but sometime next year. It probably won't be in the beginning part of the year. I don't have a date yet. Okay. I can't wait for a date. So okay. I'm so excited.
I'm very excited as well. And so you've just, I think, celebrated your 1 year anniversary with being married. You've got your Forbes cover, the show, the second book. What is something that maybe is rolling around in your mind that you've been considering or maybe even just kind of dragging your feet on that you're thinking, why not now? Maybe it's big, maybe it's small, maybe it's personal, maybe it's professional. Is there anything that's kind of just tugging?
Yeah, Girl Boss is it was a book, and then it was a podcast, and now it's a Netflix show, and it's also a foundation. So thinking through, how to connect all those things and create one place for Girl Boss to live where people can engage with the brand and with the ideas that kind of surround Girl Boss and create a community is something that just seems like so obvious. I have so much on my plate with Nasty Gal, and I'm an executive producer, I'm an author, I'm a host. Like, what happened? That's amazing. But it's such an awesome opportunity, and so many people are just ready for Girl Boss to become more. Thinking through that has been something I've spent probably way too much time doing, and I know more now than ever what I am getting myself into when I say yes to anything or when I say why not now. And so I want to be really careful with that. I'm gonna do something. I want to do a conference. I would like to do more, but and why not now? It's like, these opportunities come and go. I can't wait forever. It's a really ripe time to make something happen. It's just a matter of, who am I going to do it with? How do I make it happen? I only have so many hours in the day. What is it? And so, Girl Boss is becoming its own brand and its own media entity in many ways. So that's something I've been spending a ton of time thinking about, and I'm absolutely going to do something. It's scarier now being as naive, I think, as I was early on. And there's something to be said for not knowing and for just doing it.
Ignorance is bliss. Yeah.
It really is. You can do so much not knowing, what could possibly come of what you say yes to. And I think that's the best time to say yes.
Absolutely. I find that with confidence too. There are times where I look back and I'm like, I was so confident, and maybe a little too at times. And now I'm like, I realize what I don't know a little bit more. But, well, that's exciting for everyone. I think just in general for humanity that Girl Boss it now transcends a book. It transcends just this movement into a tangible show. The impact and the pop culture-ness of the show even is really going to expose it so much more. So you're right. It's the time to kind of take advantage of this wave. What are you reading now, or what's your all-time favorite book other than maybe Girl Boss?
Right now, I just started reading a book called When Breath Turns to Air.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe it's called When Breath Becomes Air. Let me look. Hold on.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like a bestseller, and it's about a doctor who was just getting out of school, becoming a doctor, and gets cancer and writes this beautiful book as he's dying and ultimately dies, which just is so sad. I haven't gotten to the really sad part yet. The foreword was sad enough. So, but it's just really beautifully written and kind of like a meditation on existence. And
That's awesome.
So that's what I'm reading now. And then my favorite book is Grendel by John Gardner. It's about the beast from Beowulf. I haven't read Beowulf because it's really long, but it's just kind of like a nihilistic, poetic, bleak vision of a sad beast who is very lonely and self-loathing. And I don't know, there's always going to be a part of me that relates to that. So, yeah, it's just a really fun book.
That's cool. That's cool. And what keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night is not getting enough sleep. Like if I wake up and I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to get 8 hours sleep, then I'll get stressed out. If anything, it's looking at my phone. I mean, I'll grab that thing and be like, what's
Sophia, we got to change
happening?
that. You can't
I
be
know.
looking at it in the middle of the night.
I know, it's awful. Yes, I'll grab it sometimes, but more and more, there's not a lot to look at. So then I'm just like, you're dumb. Like, why are you doing that? There's nothing urgent. Like, things are okay. So I would say my phone, sadly.
Yeah. Well, maybe meditating will help that too. But I know the lumens in your phone and the screen, it just does the opposite. It doesn't put us to sleep by any means. But
ruins you.
It's the truth that we all do it. I'm the same. And what advice would you give to your younger self? Or what advice would you give to someone who is thinking about asking themselves the why not now question?
I would just say that life is for the taking, that whatever you want is for the taking, and the only difference between you and the people that you admire is that they're doing it. So you should just do it, and, don't be too impressed by other people because they're not that different from you.
That's a great way to wrap up, and thank you so much.
Of course, thank you so much for having me.
This episode is also brought to you by Withings. Withings invents smart products and apps that fit into any lifestyle to help you track and aim to improve your health. I've been using Withings every day for about 1.5 years now, and I am a big fan. One of the things I love the most about the Withings app is their leaderboard step tracking feature, because I love some friendly competition. Having a leaderboard has been incentive to be more active, and I've even gotten my family involved. Although my dad did try to cheat one day by putting his phone in his horse's saddle. But whether I'm competing with my friends on the other side of the globe, my family, or Dorado, my dad's horse, we're all connecting through our health goals. I just got the Withings Watch 2, which syncs to the app so I can disconnect and not always have my phone with me, but still track my progress. Withings products can track your sleep and weight too. Knowledge is power. Go to withings.com and use coupon code WhyNotNow25 to get 25% off your order and free shipping. I enjoyed talking with Sophia. I hope you enjoyed the listen. She sure does keep it real with her humble nature. I've mentioned that this show is my Why Not Now, and I got to thinking, this is something that I wouldn't have done if I hadn't told people I was going to do it. That's what has kept me honest and accountable. In fact, it really wasn't until I scheduled my first interview that it became real. And I intentionally put it on the map, put it on the calendar, so I would follow through. And I think that that's an important thing I'm learning from a lot of our why notters, is that they just have to take a first step, get something scheduled, buy a ticket, do something to where there really is no turning around, and then you reverse engineer kind of how you're going to tackle it. So you don't always have to have a full-on strategy and plan for your why not now. It's more about taking that first step. I want to hear what your why not now is. Please share it with me on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at Amy Jo Martin. I'll send a signed copy of my New York Times bestselling book, Renegades Write the Rules, to the first 200 people who listen, rate, and leave an honest review of the podcast in iTunes. And you'll also get a free month subscription from our friends at Headspace. This is only available to Why Not Now listeners. Once you've left a rating and review on iTunes, just email your iTunes handle name and your mailing address to whynotnow@amyjomartin.com. and we'll get your package in the mail to you. For detailed show notes, head to amyjomartin.com/why not now. That's where you'll find links to things we discussed on the show, special offers, and how you can keep in touch with guests. Hat tip to my buddies Ash and Devin at Rock Salt Music for our tunes today. You just listened to the talented John Coggins in Let's Go and Let It Ride. And a jump high five to my talented husband, Richard Greer, for producing the show and being patient with me. See you next time. Until then, why not now?